What I love about your movie, because I work with a charity that takes chronically and terminally ill children to the cliche Disney World, which you talk about in the movie, which is funny. It wasn't offensive, I get it. But the thing I've always said about these kids is they're normal kids who just happen to have cancer or sickle cell or whatever.
Yeah.
And I really like the fact that your characters are just normal teenagers with the same desires and needs. I'm not really sure as a parent how I feel about the sex scene. But, I mean, that's true, and that's how you portray them as normal kids who happen to have this really bad thing going on.
Yeah, I often get asked, like, what was it like playing a cancer patient in a movie? And I'm like, or like, how did you prepare for that? And I was like, we didn't really, we did play cancer patients because of what they were going through, but I wasn't playing a young girl with terminal cancer. I was playing a young girl who was falling in love for the first time and going through loss and heartbreak and grief and excitement and adrenaline and butterflies and
with extra stakes.
Yeah, with extra stakes. That's such a great way to put it. With higher stakes, but that doesn't discredit the fact that it's still the first time maybe that she's had this experience with a guy, or waiting for her phone to buzz, and I think that is what you just said. It's so important. Cancer doesn't define a person,
right?
Just in the same way,
the same desires. And I kind of dug that from Laura Dern's as the mom's perspective. She wanted you to experience everything you could as quickly as you can because your time was so limited.
I know. So
and then Nat, to lose your eyesight and to still be able to find the comedy in that, because from your character, I thought you were more upset about losing your girlfriend than you were about losing your eyes.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just projection. I think it's easier to be upset about getting dumped than it is about losing your eyesight. So I think a lot of that is just, it's something that I definitely do in real life. You get upset about a thing that sucks, but it's a smaller thing because you can't deal with the bigger problem, because that would be way too painful. And then I also just think that's, by the end, he uses humor to deal with his pain, which is also something that I do. So I had a really easy time connecting with that character.
Yeah, and I think that you were do a lot of improv. So did you get to, in your big explosive scene, were you incorporating a lot of that?
Yeah. Wait, in what? In what scene?
And when you were going crazy, you were they're having this really deep conversation, you're in the background going nuts. It must have been hard to keep a straight face during all that.
It was at first, I think. It was pretty funny, we would break. But we could incorporate it into the scene, that's sort of the beauty about scenes like that is...
It was funny. It was supposed to, it had an element of,
if we were laughing in real life, we just incorporated it because Hazel and Gus would be laughing at that.
Yeah.
I remember hitting a trophy and it almost hit you in the face, though.
Yeah, he almost...
Yeah, it bounced off something and almost hit her in the face. Yeah.
When we were off screen, when it was his close-ups, we were wearing goggles so we wouldn't get shards.
And it hit her goggle or something.
It hit my goggle. Yeah, I was wearing goggles and it hit my goggle. If I actually could have had one eye.
Yeah. You could have played my part then.
Why are you wearing a patch, Shay? Oh, well, Nat.
Nat Wolff.
Yeah. Nat Wolff threw.
We could have switched parts. I could have done Hazel.
Yeah, you would have been great.
Gus.
That's very compelling. Yeah.
Now,
Such a good actor.
Thanks, dude.
There was so much passion for the book, and you know how teenage girls and guys and whoever read the book, they had this movie playing out in their mind, and then to have to go to the theater, and it may or may not be the same movie they had in their head. So there was a lot of pressure probably for the casting. And how did it feel as each person was cast? Did it resonate for you?
Yeah, I was also nervous because the story means a lot to me. It's a very personal story to me, and I thought it was going to be hard to make a movie that was really faithful to the book. Mm-hmm. A lot of that credit goes. I think it is one of the most faithful movie adaptations I've ever seen. A lot of the credit goes to the director, Josh Boone, but also the cast was amazing. And when we were casting the movie. I got to see a lot of audition tapes. Of course, it wasn't my decision. It's not my movie. But I'm such a big fan of Shailene and Ansel and Nat. I think Laura Dern is amazing as Hazel's mom. I think Sam Trammell is so great as Hazel's dad. And I think that's ultimately why the movie is such a faithful adaptation. Is that it feels. When I was watching it, I felt like they had almost a supernatural understanding of how it seemed in my head when I was writing it.
And there are some, guys you left this out of the movie. How could you do that? But you have to sacrifice.
Of course,
things.
there's always going to be some stuff that you take away, but the very little in this case. And what mattered to me the most was keeping the tone of the movie. It's easy enough to preserve story. It's really hard to preserve tone, especially because it's such a particular tone, and I thought that was just done exceptionally well.
It is such a particular tone.
Yeah.
But I mean, y'all read the book, like you cared about the book, and I think that made a big difference.
I think that when you watch the movie, it has this very similar tone to the book.
Yeah.
Or at least at the end, I felt the same.
Well, the casting was excellent. I think every part was just nailed. And when Peter Van Houten turned around the room, the men in the audience were like, "Yes!" I think they were surprised to see Willem Dafoe, and that was just awesome.
He's so
Powerful,
good.
Yeah.
Good bad guy.
That face.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, you've been doing this mini tour around the country, and you've been to Miami, Nashville, Dallas, and there was one more I'm forgetting. Cleveland. So whose idea was it to do this mini tour? Why those cities, and how has the fan response been?
I think it was it Fox's idea?
Yeah, it was Fox's
They
idea.
had a brilliant idea. They had fans
It was
vote.
my idea.
Just,
It's all that.
yeah, Nat, Wolff.
Yeah, I just said, I want to hang with you guys.
And I want to go to Cleveland.
Yeah.
They had
Cleveland
fans
is a
vote.
rather odd choice. I mean,
Yeah. Well, they had fans vote on all 50 whatever states.
every 50 state, every
Cleveland was actually the biggest. I think.
every state could vote, and so
And those are the cities that had the most votes. So Dallas is one of 4 cities that had the most votes.
I did not know. I guess I should have researched that a little bit better. And how has
Pretty
it
cool.
It
been
is a
for
random
you?
grouping of cities to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were saying last night was just so special you'll never forget it. Is
Yeah.
there something specific that happened?
I mean, in a way, it felt like a graduation because it was our last night all together with that sort of experience. We should make more.
there were thousands and thousands of people. I mean, it was just so wonderful to be able to talk about the book and the movie with all those thousands of people. And then there was a very special moment where a young woman who is living with cancer asked a question about the book and the story, and shared with us that some things resonated with her about the story, and it was a really wonderful moment. And then this crowd of thousands of people started chanting her name.
Yeah.
On their own, without us.
Yeah, they're just on their own, and it was really
chills.
beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it brought us all to tears.
Well, I've got to wrap up, but I have one question I want to ask you really quickly. Part of the movie is Augustus wanted to be there to hear what his funeral was like, and you eulogized him. I want to know, what is the song you want to be played at your funeral? Have you thought that far ahead?
Oh, I think about that all the time.
Because I already know what I want. I want Michael Jackson, She's Out of My Life. I want them to be laying on the floor weeping
I love
that I'm gone.
I like Amazing Grace. It's my favorite hymn.
Honestly, I have a friend who is so special to me, and he's a musician, so I would just love him. His name is Nako, and I would love him to just come play a song, yeah.
Nat?
Well, my favorite song of all time is For No One by the Beatles.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Oh, Hold My Hand by the Beatles.
The Beatles, I mean, you could do
Anything by the
like,
Beatles would be amazing.
You could do a
yeah.
couple hundred Beatles
I want a really
funerals.
long funeral.
I want every Beatles song to play.
From the beginning to the
Well,
end.
thank you all so much. It was a great movie. I cried. Take Kleenex or steal a bunch of napkins at the concession stand. Because it was incredible. So thank you very
so much.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.